Many of you may have heard this story before, but I think it still bears telling. It is based on a true event that happened in my husband's youth. He is the 12-year-old narrator of this story. It is entitled, "Who is the Real Messiah?" My father died when I was almost 1. I didn't miss him because I never got to know him. However, a new figure appeared in the summer of 1958. I was 12. My mother, thinking I now needed a man's influence, wanted me to spend a couple of weeks with Uncle Ted and Aunt Eleanor in their summer home in Cornwall, New York. Staying with them was okay by me. Their home was on the side of a mountain surrounded by 39 acres of trees, a great place to explore. My mother's brother and I shared the same first name, but not much else. He was smart. He finished both high school and college by the age 18. He was a recognized expert in stage lighting and an admired theater professor at Northwestern University in Illinois. I, unfortunately, had to repeat 4th grade due to poor California achievement test scores, and my useful talents were questionable. Being around my genius uncle was a little weird, but neat at the same time. My mother always worshipped him, but disliked living in his shadow. When she dropped me off for the start of my adventure, she brought homemade stew using my grandmother's recipe. This offering was partly a thank you to him for having me, and partly an assurance that I would be well fed. Aunt Eleanor was not much of a cook. As soon as my mother warmed up the stew for dinner, Uncle Ted said, "The gravy's not as brown as Mom's." My mother packed up and left in a huff. I quietly finished eating. Later, I helped Uncle Ted organize the tools required for his upcoming projects. He had a 1947 Plymouth businessman's coupe. That black beauty had a 6-foot deep trunk extending into most of the backseat space. The feature was to accommodate a salesman's wares. He used it to haul supplies needed for maintenance on his precious road, a single lane with a steep quarter-mile uphill climb. Some parts had switchbacks to fit the contour of the land and reduce the sharp grade. He and a few local farmers had built it by hand, using only pickaxes, shovels, a horse-drawn stone boat, and 40 sticks of dynamite. He was 38 when he plotted the road. Now at 54, he wanted to replace the stone culverts with metal ones. I was to be his gopher assistant. On the first morning, my uncle said, "Teddy, we'll start by cleaning out the ditches." At each bend, we parked the car, unloaded the gear, raked out the ditch and culvert openings, plopped the smelly, decayed matter onto canvas, and carried the tarp of leafy gum to the stone wall side for dumping. Except for a brief lunch break, we labored until dusk. On the second day, we tackled the thank you marms, the mini trenches that ran diagonally across the road at specific points to divert water runoff. We raked the gravel off, dug deeper cuts, and then replaced a thin layer of stone. These periodic dips prevented ruts and washouts. They also created jolts to passengers if a car drove over them faster than a snail's pace. The third day, we drove 20 miles to Goshen multiple times to pick up a dozen 12-foot metal culverts. We could only transport 2 at a time, fitting them into the trunk's wooden frame cutouts matching their diameters. 6 feet of the culverts were inside the trunk, and 6 feet extended out the back, their midsection secured by rope through a hole my uncle drilled in the rear bumper. Every night, I was so hungry, I didn't care what food Aunt Eleanor served. I ate and went straight to bed. I was surprised on the 4th morning when Uncle Ted said, "Teddy, today we're going to do some real work." Wasn't that what we had been doing? He meant the stone culvert conversions. We started at the hairpin turn, or what my uncle referred to as the virgin curve. He claimed he buried a virgin there when building the road, the same way Peter the Great reportedly did when laying foundations for huge fortresses or palaces in Russia. It consecrated the ground. Uncle Ted, a real taskmaster, was very picky about how to dig a hole. Each layer had to be removed and piled separately, raking off the top coat of shale, scraping aside the original gravel bed, shoveling away plain dirt, stacking the rocks of the old stone culverts, then digging deeper through a vein of hard clay. The precise, orderly process was time-consuming and irritating. I had a newfound sympathy for my mother putting up with years of detailed directions from that man. When the hole was deep enough, we rolled the culvert over and maneuvered it into place. Our Herculean efforts earned us a break. I sat in the road leaning my back against the rear bumper and took a sip of water from the stainless steel thermos. My bones ached. Sweat poured into my eyes and down my front and back. Uncle Ted stood by the culvert and admired our handiwork. Then a motor hum of another car came up the road. I was too tired to move, but my uncle turned and walked toward the sound. I peeked around the side of our car and saw a beige sedan stop 10 feet away from Uncle Ted and the Plymouth. "Holy rollers," he muttered in disgust as two old women and a little boy about age 5 or 6 got out of the auto. The threesome were dressed in their Sunday best and had some kind of books or pamphlets with them. Without pleasantries, my uncle asked, "Don't you know this is a private road?" "Oh, we won't take up much of your time. We're here to spread the good news of our Savior," said the woman in the blue print dress. "I don't want to hear it." The woman in the pink flowered dress ventured, "Well, surely as a good Christian you'll want—" Uncle Ted cut her off quickly. "What makes you think I'm a Christian, and no less a good one?" "Well, surely you believe in the Bible, don't you?" I stayed in my hiding place and listened closely. I knew this line of questioning was dangerous ground. My mother was raising me and my sister as Quakers, but I had never known my uncle to attend any place of worship. "I, madam, am an unaffiliated pantheist." "A what?" In his teacher tone, he began to rant. "You don't know what pantheism is? It's one of the great religions of the world. Pantheism ranks right along with Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam. How can you call yourself knowledgeable about religion if you don't even know what pantheism is?" The two women started backing towards their car with the little boy in tow. In their haste, they accidentally dropped some pamphlets but didn't bother to pick them up. They hopped into the sedan, started the motor, and threw the gears into reverse. I could have peed my pants from laughing so hard. Quickly, my uncle changed from grand orator to panic prophet. Even I knew what he was thinking. Those women will back off the road and get stuck in the ditch, or worse yet, they'll flip their car. He chased after the car, waving his arms frantically to get them to stop, or at least follow his directions on how to back down. They paid no heed, weaving backwards erratically until they managed to get to the driveway's entrance, where they made a K-turn to exit out onto the public road. When my uncle returned, he teased me for hiding out and wished he had had more witnesses. After a good belly laugh, we resumed the serious job of covering up the culvert with its protective strata of stone and dirt. Uncle Ted the pantheist was now my idol.